Card Ladder, the best sports card app on the market. The future of sports cards is here. Card Ladder is the 21st century price guide and market analysis tool for sports cards. The best tools to help you track your cards. Watch the trends, stay informed, compare cards, and track the growth of your personal collection, all in one simple and intuitive platform. Join the innovators, not the imitators. The future is here. The future is now. Card Ladder.
Record time.
First to join.
Oh, first. Okay. The second question on the list is about the Suns. So we've got Suns things to talk about.
Suns in four. Suns in four.
What?
Suns in four. Fucking sweep.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. I'm sorry. I was distracted by the chat. Yeah, okay. Lots of NBA stuff to talk about, so let's get to it. Let's just go through our preliminary stuff so we can get to it. Welcome to the crossover. Today is Friday, June 11th. Thank you guys for bearing with us on a late start time. We're all watching the NBA anyway, so let's mold our schedules around that for the playoffs. First of all, mail day? It doesn't look like you're in the office, but do you have a mail day you want to show?
I do. I got it.
That's what I thought. All right, let's go. Let's go.
So this is the 2011 Contenders Julio Jones rookie PSA 10. I've been trying to get this one for a year. This is the first copy I've seen available in over a year. Crazy.
Do you think the trade stuff brought it out?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I bought a couple other Julio cards that are on the way, so definitely the trade brought some stuff out, which is great to see. Hopefully there's more coming.
Talk just for like 10 seconds about how when a player pops up in the news or some big event happens, it's a good time to land some of their really difficult cards like that one you just got.
Yeah, it's a good time for sellers to sell because they can capitalize on it, right? But it's equally as good of a time for guys like myself trying to pick up rare cards of their PC guys that didn't become available. I mean, you probably have to pay more than you normally would because of that event, but that's okay. It brings it out.
Big time. Is Wash in the house tonight?
I don't have my hat. No.
Okay. No. Sorry, Adam. No Wash tonight. All right.
It has to be the hat. You can't just – it's not a mental thing. It's a physical. It's the hat.
All right. Really quickly, for those who didn't see the excellent video that Ryan, Card Collector 2, made for us, we've released a new feature on Card Ladder called Multiple Collections. Really easy. If you're on Card Ladder, just go over, click on your collection. Once you're on your collection, click this arrow, create new collection, and you can create multiple collections now. Really a neat way to partition your cards, stay maximally organized. Ryan was talking about how he's using multiple collections to track different deals he made at different shows, like a deal he made at the Houston show. He's keeping all that one in one collection. So pretty cool feature. Anything else? We touched on it already on Sports Cards Culture, but anything else you want to say here on the IG Live for our real ones on Friday night about the multiple collections feature?
For the real ones, well, we got some exciting news coming from that feature that we're working on right now as a team. So we'll have some updates coming next week on that. I can't really say much about it because it's kind of a new thing we're going to try out, but it's going to be fun, so everyone should get real excited about it.
Definitely. Okay. Final announcement before we get to the questions. I should have had this pulled up. Christina, the one and only, will be appearing with Jeremy Lee on Sports Cards Live tomorrow night. So, boom. Tomorrow is Ladies' Night on Sports Cards Live, episode 101 with Christina Thorson. And after-hours guest, Sam Shuford of Women of the Hobby. And we all know who that guy is. That's the man, Jeremy himself. So, last announcement, make sure to check that out as well. Christina looks good pissed. That's her natural disposition. Bless him.
That's my resting face.
Okay.
She said it, not us.
We're just supporting her. First question or comments. You want to know a great way to get bumped up to the top of the comments or questions queue? Send in one like this. Kings Angels 22 says, "I'm loving all the new features in Card Ladder. Thank you." So you're welcome. Next question comes from
We play
Jay.
favorites on this. We play favorites on this show.
I don't know. It's a pretty complicated algorithm to get to the top of the list, but props to those who figured it out. JJJ Gambino says, "What are the top 5 reasons why the Suns will be NBA champions this
Oh
year?"
my god. I don't know about all that. I don't want to get. I'm very excited about my Suns because they look really good. I mean, okay, so if I'm gonna play the game, right, I got to pick 5. I can't just I'm not predicting that they're winning the championship. That's crazy. Let's see. Balance. The team is extremely balanced. They all can play. I was noting that like all the guys that they play offense well and defense. There's not any weak links on either side of the court, so you can't leave them open. And also, you're not going to just like pick on someone and pick and roll, which is good. CP3, number 2. The guy is a freaking beast. He's definitely their MVP. I know Booker's probably their better player or whatever, their better scorer. CP3 is a monster. He controls the whole game. He hits the clutch shots. He had a clutch steal tonight, clutch 3. The guy does it all. Number 3, I think Ayton. I think his height is causing issues for other teams that usually can punish teams without a good center. Like Jokic would usually be going to town, and he still is. But that's because they're single covering Jokic, and it's making it a struggle for everybody else. 4, I would say their defense. I think their defense is better than people give them credit for. Mikal Bridges is solid. Crowder's solid. All 5 guys are really good. 5, I would say like they're sort of like the chip on their shoulder. You can tell that they're trying to prove something. Like all year, nobody's been talking about them. They even get talked about less than the Jazz, which is kind of ridiculous because they're a very similar story to the Jazz, in my opinion. Kind of out of nowhere, a little bit doubted. Very solid, balanced team. So that's my list.
Nice. Yeah. If DeAndre Ayton is a team's 3rd best player, that team is pretty well rounded and pretty has a nice distribution of talent there. DeAndre Ayton would be the 1st or the 2nd best player on quite a few teams in the NBA. So Suns have a nice bunch of talent, and it's clicking at the right time. And it's nice to see, man. It's very, very nice to see. Good list. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about playoffs wise? I got one that maybe we can kick something off with. Just because the series goes 2-0 doesn't mean that series is over. I think that lesson might need to keep getting learned over and over again in these playoffs. 3-0, like what the Suns just did to the Nuggets, that's a different story. 2-0, I've already seen a team come back from that at least once in these playoffs. And Jazz fans are riding really high right now, but they've only beaten the Clippers by 3 points and 6 points. And Kawhi Leonard has yet to have a Kawhi Leonard-style game in that series. But Gobert and his rim protection is making a difference. It's making scoring in the paint difficult. But there's too much 2-0 celebrating. You just look at what happened in the Brooklyn-Milwaukee series. 2-0, everybody was like, oh, this is over. 2-1, now it's interesting again. If it becomes 2-2, it's really interesting. So no need to break out the champagne on 2-0 yet.
Yeah. I mean, when you asked if anything else, the Bucks are extremely disappointing. I know they won, but God, that was terrible. They shouldn't have even won that game. They were awful. They had like, what was it, 85 points or something? Terrible, man. And
For
that
the
team,
best offense in the league, 5 points per game.
they averaged the most points per game in the last 30 seasons in the NBA. I don't understand. Watching that team, if you would have told me that stat and I didn't know it, I wouldn't even believe you. There's no way. They could barely score. It looked like they never scored before. It's ridiculous. Luckily for them, the Nets couldn't shoot at all, so they held on for a close win. But man, Bucks are in trouble.
Yeah, not an inspiring 3 games so far, but they did get a win. And that 2-1 is very far from over. All right. Any thoughts on Philadelphia, Atlanta? I did not get to watch tonight's game, by the way, but I did see the final score.
I mean, do Trae Young people really want me to pile on right now, or just kind of step back and enjoy? No, I mean the Sixers are clearly like a better team overall. They have more depth. They have more top end talent. Embiid's phenomenal. Tobias Harris played really good tonight. So I mean they're just a better team. I don't think it's anything negative on any individual player in the Hawks necessarily. I just they're overmatched. And the Sixers made a nice switch. I don't know if you noticed this stat, but they mostly had Danny Green on Trae Young in game 1, and that did not work. And then they started moving Simmons onto Trae Young in game 2 and game 3, and that seemed to work a lot better. They're able to kind of corral him a little bit better. And like I said about Trae, he's really good in open space. So it's not just that he's like a great scorer, it's that he makes the offense go. So if you can actually get a good on-ball defender on him, it makes it harder on their offense to run as a whole. So that's what they did.
Good breakdown. Here's the betting odds on the series. If you think Atlanta will win, you can bet $100 and make $480 in profit. You can get 5-1 on your money if you think Atlanta is going to win the series. Conversely, if you think Philadelphia is going to win the series, you would need to bet $650 to profit $100. So you're getting 1 to 6.5 on your money in the other direction. So the sports books, that's coming from FanDuel right there. The sports books are heavily in favor of Philadelphia winning this series. So if you really believe in the Hawks and gambling is legal where you reside, you can make 5-1 on your money right there.
Was that a challenge?
That's like a very subtle taunt.
It is that is a very. You're right. That's just it's even more mean. You're like, damn, really hitting me deep there, man. You're saying we're bad. I get it.
I just watch those spreads very closely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watch those very closely.
What do they say about the Suns? Is it going to be good? We looking good?
Oh, okay, good. Let's see here. I'm gonna guess they might not even be taking bets on that series right now because that series is over. Yeah, they're not even taking bets on that series right now. But game 4 has the Suns as 2-point favorites on the road versus the Nuggets.
Dang. Yeah, they're keeping the Nuggets close. The Nuggets were favored by 1.5 tonight.
Okay. That's a huge switch. You usually don't see that big of a swing from one game to another. Like, for example, Brooklyn is favored by 1.5 points over Milwaukee in the next game. That's a flip, too.
Dude, read Jokic's line out real quick. Read his box score.
It was 30-20-10 or something like that, wasn't it?
32-20-10. He didn't even play that well. He was missing a lot of shots.
No, he didn't shoot a very high percentage.
But he was crushing the Suns on the boards.
Yeah, I saw I bet to lose by 15 or 17 or whatever they lost by 14, to lose by 14 points and win the offensive rebounds 20-4. I bet that's never happened before.
That's that you just read about the offensive rebounds. The Suns had more second chance points. So
wow. Okay, well they
just weren't shooting well. I mean, tonight the Nuggets just were not shooting very well. And Aaron Gordon, oh my God, he is the Suns' best player right now. He is awful.
Yeah, it really sucks too when you're at home in a game that you need, and your role players who are supposed to be better at home don't show up at all and lay an egg. That's That's going to be
He
really
was
tough to overcome.
Aaron Gordon was calling his teammates out after game 2. He's been on the team a month, and he's calling his teammates out, and then he lays an egg. Yeesh.
Mother Goose Gordon. Okay.
He scored tonight. It was beautiful. He had like a nice layup. It was gorgeous.
Jokic had 32 on 29 field goals, 13 of 29.
Yeah.
5 of 9 from free throws, which is bad for him. Like you said, 20 rebounds, 10 assists, 1 block, and only 2 turnovers. So
It's incredible.
good game in 40 minutes. A good game, but not
I think Ayton,
a great game.
like I said, the difference for me in this little matchup is that Ayton is able to guard him one-on-one, and most teams have to, double and bring help. They don't have to with the Suns, and they force everyone else to take tough shots.
Yeah. Yep. Combine that with Porter was pretty pedestrian tonight, and Aaron Gordon was bad, and you're not gonna beat any of these teams who are left in the playoffs.
This is the risk of putting down big money on some of these younger guys. It's that if they have just a couple bad games in these really important spots, it can cause their prices to really dip and people lose confidence. Whereas the more established guys, even if they have a bad game, some of their pricing is already set. You can't really change too much. But with these young guys, like, this is when they start to make their mark and start to make their legacy is right now. And if they're struggling in these big games, it has these big swings where, it's just a lot riskier in that fashion. So you just got to be careful.
Yeah, it is. People are very high on Porter, and Porter had these like really streaky games where he would, shoot 60% from 3 on 12 attempts and just play like a beast. But then in this series, and there was a big narrative like, oh, now that Jamal Murray's out of the way, Porter's going to step up. And I believed that narrative to some extent myself. But, he tweaked his back before the previous game. He has a very serious history of back injury. And then he's turned in a couple of pedestrian games in the series so far. And all of a sudden, what once looked like a very bright blue skies future, now, people are feeling a lot more cautious all of a sudden, just over 2 games. Just over 2 games.
And, I mean, the other thing to point out is that there's only a small handful of guys that are going to stand out when the season is all done because every team loses except one, meaning, teams are getting outplayed. Every team is going to end up getting outplayed except one. So it just, how early do they exit matters. Obviously, how bad do they end up looking against the team they lose to? These things matter, but like you got to remember, it's really hard to be a Hall of Famer all-time great because you got to beat everybody else. And if these guys run into teams that are better, that's the risk.
Yeah, and it also has to be sustained. So Jimmy Butler last year won an NBA Finals game against the Lakers with a 40-point triple-double, and who cares? It's almost an afterthought at this point. So
yeah.
It just the threshold to become regarded as great is so high and so difficult, and it has to be built over a period of so many years. To your point. All right. Any other? The chat is pretty hot on some NBA talk right now. Do you want to pick anything else NBA wise to talk about here before we get on to card questions?
No, I'm ready to move on.
Let's move on. All right. First question, warm up from Drake's PC. What tips do you have for negotiating for a rare card that you want when the seller has priced it too high?
Oof. Man, it's like the one time when I don't really negotiate much. I just sort of either pay or I don't, because I mean, if the card is rare and you really want it, the seller has all the power. It's just the way it is, and the seller knows it. What are you gonna do? Go find another one? I guess the question is like, how rare is it? If it's if there's like 10 in that pop or something, or there's like 50 copies of that card, you could probably just wait it out. But I don't know that there's really any negotiation tactic in this scenario other than Just doing the old tactic of just like remaining firm and kind of sticking to your guns. That's really all you can do. If they don't want to sell, then you're stuck. But if it's something that you feel like you're never going to get back, just pay up.
Yeah, it's true. And I find it like generally effective to the extent that you can, in a very respectful manner, spell out the reasons why you're priced where you're priced. So there should be a basis for the price that you're coming in at. And if it's because, hey, look, here's a very similar card that sold for a very similar amount, or, here's how the card has grown over time. And, or look, this card hasn't sold in 3 years, but look, here's a similar one that has. And if you can really kind of spell out the math behind how you're getting to your price, I think that's a pretty good, that's a pretty good technique to employ. I've employed that technique with some success and with some effect on a few occasions. So, but you have to be really respectful about it, because I've also had people approach me trying to buy cards and like just hammer me with like comps. I once had a guy showing me 10-year-old comps, and at that point in time, I'm already so over that deal, so.
Someone else in the chat brought up a good idea, which you just employed this trick. It's not really a trick, but offer up trade. So maybe like give up more of that value in trade, and maybe there's something that can entice the seller to move it to you.
Definitely. Just a piece of cardboard says send lowball messages from different accounts. Good. Rodman says wait it out. Patience sometimes pays off. That word to the wise.
I have no patience though, so good luck with that.
Me neither. Okay. JGP45 on a similar topic would like to know, are you all, suppose that includes the chat, are you all buying your Grail cards that you've been eyeing for a while, or are you holding off for the cards to dip a bit more?
Well, the cards that are left on my list haven't come available since, so it's kind of unfair. But I guess I'll play to the question, which is like, if it did, would I buy it now or would I wait? I would buy it now, personally. I think now is a good time. I like buying stuff when it's going down and there's a little bit of panic that it's going to keep going down, and maybe it will, maybe it won't. But on rare cards, when it's already going down, you don't want to get too greedy and like try to time the bottom on something that's rare. Especially like a Grail card to me is just like a more rare card, so it's just, I wouldn't get too greedy with that. If it came up, I would get it.
Definitely. We had very similar questions a week or two ago, and Josh coined the term the caveman approach to collecting. Me like card, me buy card. The market conditions don't really matter that much to me. I think it smooths out over the long term, and especially if it's like true Grail, meaning a card that doesn't come up very often. Figure out what a fair market price is, maybe a little premium over that, and if the card's there, go get it. That's my approach. All right. Big topic of the day. Does anybody know what it is? I think we all know what it is. Big topic of the day. We had 4 people write in, actually more, but I'll just do the first 4 because we're running a little short on time today. Jay Lee of Sports Cards Live says, I don't know what you guys should talk about tonight. Maybe the LeBron RPA that was removed from Golden, perhaps. Social Card Work says, what the heck happened with the LeBron RPA in the Golden auction? PK Cards says, LeBron Exquisite RPA being pulled from Golden's June auction. Did Upper Deck lie? And Flippity Flip Cards says, Ken Golden's transparency / decision in removing the LeBron Exquisite RPA. Let's back up a little bit and just explain quickly in a minute here what happened. This is the card in question, the 2003 Exquisite LeBron RPA, card number 44 of 99 with that tremendous patch. Here's what Ken Golden put on Instagram today. This post has almost 2,000 likes. Ken Golden said, today I made the decision to withdraw lot number 2, which was a LeBron James Exquisite RPA. What had made that card so unique was the intricate patch and the fact that it came with a letter authenticating the patch from Upper Deck. I had a conversation and email exchange with Upper Deck yesterday, and they were 100% confident in everything written in their 2019 letter verifying the authenticity of the patch. Today, I had another conversation with them, and they did not express the same level of confidence. For that reason, I decided to pull the card from our June premium auction. I did not take this decision lightly, nor does it mean that the patch is not authentic. However, based on the information available to me, I determined that the card did not meet the standards and requirements to appear within a Goldin auction. That's the story in a nutshell. And
Yeah, there's a little more to that story.
yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, the other side of it was that there's a picture surfacing from 2005 timestamped where there's a picture of that card with the exact same autograph with a white napkin patch.
Yep.
And so the drama was that it was stated by Upper Deck that the card was replaced. You know, that like, oh, we replaced it because it was damaged, but then how did you get the exact same auto? So clearly, I think it was replaced. I think what ended up actually happening was it did get replaced by Upper Deck before 2005. And it got replaced with that single white color patch. So Upper Deck had it in their file that they replaced it, but they don't remember they don't have it on record of what they replaced it with. So they don't remember that they replaced it with a white patch, which was then replaced with a different patch. So it was like replaced by Upper Deck and patch swapped. So it kind of had both. And then the seller who has owned that card for a while has been trying to privately sell it. I have that person blocked, so he can't be in this live anyways. But he has been a little bit shady, in my opinion, for a while now, and he's been trying to offer that and in my opinion, unload that card for a while. And so when I got to Goldin's auction, I was, messaging some folks over there, trying to just get all the information we can, get it figured out, and much to the credit of Ken and the Goldin staff, they got it figured out, and they took it down, did the right thing, came out with a nice message, very clear of what happened, what they did. So kudos.
Yeah, so good result, good ultimate conclusion. Was not an easy path to get to that conclusion, because it really has to be appreciated what a tricky situation it was, that you have a letter verifying from Upper Deck that the card was in fact replaced. And the letter was posted with the auction, so it was publicly available. And the letter was a pretty strong vote of confidence that the card that was being auctioned off was a replacement copy. And then there was even a customization on the slab's label that says patch authenticated by Upper Deck. But the tricky part of the situation is that there is a world that exists, like you described, where the card got replaced due to damage, but after it was replaced, the replacement copy had a patch swap. And so that was the scenario that was not Yeah. So that was the scenario not really being thought about, because it was presented as a binary. Either the card was replaced or the patch was swapped. In fact, it looks like perhaps both things happened, which is very interesting.
Very interesting.
Like a
because
pattern.
Yeah, it's like a really nice distraction tactic of like, oh, I'm admitting to you that something happened so that you feel a little bit more safe in what you know, but in reality, a lot more worse things happened. And so that was, you're right. Even myself, when I heard about this, I've seen this card for years now, and I've avoided it. The guy who's had it has had it for a long time because he's unable to sell it to anyone because none of us are going to fall for it. And I never thought that it could be replaced and swapped, so I was definitely shocked by that as well. It caught me off guard. And even just the fact that it was replaced, I want to know part of it. Like it's just not the original, and it's not the original pack inserted card, which we've talked about this on the show a lot. To collectors, the fact that it came from a pack or it was like a redemption from a pack is very, very important to collectors. We do not want cards that have gone through an unnatural process to get into our hands. We don't want to buy a card stick a jersey in it, walk up to LeBron or Jordan, have them sign it, and all of a sudden we have a similar. You know, we want the actual authenticated, pack inserted, upper deck, licensed NBA licensed card, autographed, signed in front of a person, and it was authenticated on site. We want all of that. So it's important. So to hear that it was damaged and then replaced with a different copy, the serials were, you know, changed, or not changed, but like replaced. It's just like, too much. I don't like this.
Well said. And I hope everybody's paying attention. Josh just gave important insights into what matters to collectors. And, you know, for newcomers or people who haven't been exposed to stuff, that mindset, it's very, very important. Two comments that I want to highlight from the chat. The first one, Collectibles Cards Clutter, says Paulsgraf, which is a famous case that shows up in law school, Paulsgraf v. Long Island Railroad Co., which has a bizarre fact pattern, just totally silly, and it's used to teach torts. So hat tip to you, sir. And then 2005 Jay-Z says that card could still sell for $100,000. Okay, so let's talk about the next step. What is the next step in the life of a card like this? What probably will happen? What should we worry about? And what should happen?
Next step is the seller's going to get it back, and he's going to have to deal with it. You know, he's going to have to like live with the fact that he lost a lot of money on this. If this wasn't his fault, I don't know the full details of, you know, if the seller that owns it now is the one that swapped it, or he knew it was swapped or whatever, and maybe he was maliciously trying to sell it. Maybe he wasn't. I don't know. I don't have those facts. But either way, that person's going to have to deal with this, and it's unfortunate for them, obviously. What's going to happen is that card is going to have a giant scarlet letter on it for eternity. It's been on too many radars, too many eyeballs. We've all seen it. It's documented. Ken Golden got 2,000 likes, as you pointed out. It's got a big old red sticker over it of like, you know, this card is tainted now. So what should happen? I mean, what should happen is it should go back to Upper Deck and it should be, you know, destroyed at this point. But there's just so much money in that card, and as someone pointed out, even knowing all of this, someone would pay $100,000 for that. I can guarantee you that, because it's still pretty close to a LeBron RPA, and some people are like, whatever. If I can get it for a tenth the cost, I still want one. I wouldn't do it. I would not recommend buying that at $100,000, but I can see someone doing it. So the seller's not just gonna tear the card up and give away $100,000. They might try to sell it privately at that price. I don't know. I'm not sure.
What would you think about the card being encapsulated in a BGS authentic slab with a customization on the label that says altered patch?
That's the best route. I think that's a good route, honestly. Like,
I think so too.
If I had got duped and it was a cash deal and there's just no way for me to get out of it, and I just had to like live with this stain, I'd probably go that route, I guess. I don't know. I don't think I would destroy something like that, because it is so expensive, and it's just, I don't know if I could swallow that pill all the way. I like your path. It's like, just be upfront at this point. And I wanted to, you know, say, you know, good job to Ken and Golden one last time, because this stuff's important, man. It's super important to have industry leaders, guys like Ken, you know, PWCC standing up and admitting wrong in certain areas, you and me pointing out these things. It's the only people who can do this is, you know, we have to self-police. We don't have any regulatory systems in place. We don't have, you know, the SEC or the FBI in place to stop a lot of this. So we have to do it ourselves. And so to see the whole community kind of rally together on this and get this done correctly and get it taken down, I think is really important for the long-term professionalism of the hobby, you know, the credibility of the hobby, the transparency. These things are massively important, because if you got people coming in, investing into companies and investing millions of dollars into the cards themselves, they don't want stuff like this. They're going to run fast. So if you don't get that shit and take care of it right away when it comes up as a hobby, you're not going to be taken seriously. People are going to think it's a joke and they're going to leave. So, you know, good job to everyone in the hobby for kind of rallying together on this.
Well said. Anything else on this topic?
Yeah, the next inclination is like, there's a lot of excitement over people that are the ones getting the credit for these types of things. And I would just caution you a little bit to not just like jump out and go be the guy to try to tear down someone else's collection based on, whether you think something's trimmed or altered, and really get all the facts first. Make sure you ask the person who owns the card first. Maybe there's a story you don't know. Talk to the consignment company. Don't just start bashing them on social media. Like, go to them directly, get the story from them, and let's have an assumption of positive intent as much as we can. Obviously, once you find someone at fault, you have hard proof. Okay, now let's come out with it. Let's discuss this. I just want to make sure that we're not tearing each other down unnecessarily at this point, because it can get a little bit. You can get a little excited, and like, hey, look how excited everyone gets when, some big dramatic story comes out and something good like this happens, right? Or it started bad, it turned out good. It's an exciting story to tell. It's very dramatic and exciting. I just don't want it to be a really bad scenario would be if all this happened and it turned out to be false, and you could have potentially really damaged someone's reputation or value or wealth and the collection of their value and stuff just because you didn't have all the facts. So be careful, toe the line. It's a very fine line here. This is as we know, the world is not black and white, it is gray. So let's do our best to help each other out here.
Good. Let's talk a little bit about, as a final thought on this semi-related topic, I'm worried that Instagram is becoming blowout.
Yeah. Yep.
And I don't like it. And the blowout has done some very important research and has documented some very important events, scams, bad things that bad actors have done in this hobby. And it's been documented and exists now in the archives of blowout, and that's good. In most situations, unless false allegations were cast, and that's a different story, and that happens sometimes too. But blowout has a nice reservoir of information accumulated over the years. Instagram's different because information can disappear from Instagram immediately. An account can just delete itself, or a post can be deleted and stuff can go away quickly. Blowout is a little bit different, a little more centralized. But the thing that we all hated about blowout, and one of the main reasons why I haven't looked at that site in years, is because of the toxicity. And I know that's a nebulous, weird word, but the negativity, the vitriol that is endemic to posting on a message board. It's part and parcel of the blowout user experience, is that you're going to get into nasty little block quote battles with people, and nobody backs down, and the semi-anonymous or fully anonymous nature of it just makes it much nastier. And now it's starting to come over to Instagram a little bit. The Instagram, the focus is like, what's been the focus of today or the last few days? Has it been somebody posting a great card? Has it been some, no, it's the focus is hobby, the latest hot topic in the hobby, and scandal. And that type of content is coming to dominate the discourse, and that's exactly what happened in Blowout too. So what do you think about the blowoutification of Instagram?
Well, I mean, when you're talking, I really like your point of like, it's worrisome that the main topic of the day more and more is becoming the drama story versus like the cool card that someone picked up, and I'm noticing that as well. It's frustrating. It kind of reminds me of like just regular news media. Like the point of the news media in journalism is to like report the news, give people the facts, but as you see, these news stations realize that people only watch it's super dramatic, it's very left or right, it's something negative, it's someone getting arrested or torn down. And that's the same sort of concepts applying in all parts of life, and we're seeing that here. So I would just say that like that stuff gets more clicks. Unfortunately, negativity gets more clicks. False information gets more clicks. Drama gets more clicks. This has been proven over and over through like research studies published on Netflix and all kinds of places. So it's frustrating. It is frustrating. It's happening for sure. I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure how to combat it other than, keep fighting the good fight and trying to continue to shine a light on the cards themselves. And I don't know. I mean, would you rather have this or like base card, top 5 card pumping, picking every week? Like.
Why do you have to do that? That's okay. We'll have to think about that one. That's a tough call. Probably this, because at least there's like the byproduct of this can be good. There's sometimes good information gets out, good outcomes happen. But I don't know, man. It's a tough one. That is a tough one.
Keep posting cards, man. I don't know. There's nothing else you can do other than just keep fighting it with what is the right thing to do. And us, you and I doing our part to challenge everyone that listens to the show and listens to our content to continue to make it about the cards, make it about the fun, the hobby. And the other thought I had was like, the only thing that I value, there's 2 things that I value more than my collection. One is my relationships in the hobby, and 2 is my reputation. So like, if anything gets in the way of those 2 things, that's when I'm going to get really defensive and get really upset. Is like if you start to question my reputation or like some of my friendships, people that I trust and stuff. Those are 2 very important things. And then it's the cards, my collection, the value of my collection, etc. So that's why I kind of stated like you got to be careful because someone's reputation could be on the line, and by association, their happiness, their life, someone could, like you and I put so much time and effort and of our lives into this thing. If that were to be torn down over a rumor or drama on a post, that would be very, very devastating.
Indeed. I really like what you said. I wrote it down. Make it about the cards, the fun, the hobby. That's exactly right. And it is the cards that bring us all together. Sometimes content creators make the mistake of thinking it's something special about them. It's not. It's the cards. We're all here for the cards. And whoever can best put the spotlight on the cards and enhance the process of collecting cards is the person who's making the best content.
And those people are going to be around the longest because like the content that you make that's not around that is not long lasting. You're going to run out of drama stories. You're going to run out of cards to pump. You're going to run out of people to sell something to, right? Eventually, if you aren't in it for the long haul and if you're not focused on the long-term aspects of the hobby and like the things that really make the foundational pieces of it, you're going to run out of content anyways. You're going to be gone. We're going to forget about you. You're going to move on to the next thing, and your legacy will die. So,
indeed. Maybe we need Vegas odds on when these content creators are going to move on.
Oh, Vegas, that's weird. He hasn't posted much content about cards lately. Is he? Does he leave?
I don't know. Not enough drama for him. I don't know.
I'm surprised he hasn't come out and been like, "I told you guys the market was going to crash." He said 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, maybe he has, but nobody cares about that post. That post doesn't get shared. The drama's already dead. The drama's only created when you say something that just flies in the face of everything that's happening, which is what he did. So the chat is enjoying this topic. Okay.
I poked the bear a little bit there. I put a little gas in the fire.
All right. 2 questions about the National.
Oh, excellent. Thank God. Save me from this topic.
But I thought that was a nice treatment of that topic. But okay. In Cardboard Veritas says autograph tickets for the National went on sale today. Can you give some tips for how to best navigate? How much time would you allocate for the top guys? Barry Sanders and Clemens, for example. Would 2 to 3 autographs per day, would that be manageable without really interrupting enjoyment of the main part of the show? Thanks.
That'd be, I've actually, so just full honesty, I've never actually gone through the line of an autograph. I'm not much of an autograph guy. I'm just gonna point that out first, so I can't speak specifically. If someone maybe in the chat can give an average wait time, just based on what I saw, people standing in line and like people that I know that did it, I'd probably do like 1 or 2 a day tops, and also just because, there is so much to look at the show. The National is so big, so many people to meet. If you do 2 to 3, any more than that, you're really dedicating a lot of your time to the autograph stuff. So I would say 1 to 2.
Good answer. There we go. Mostly 90s basketball cards says, I'm having national FOMO. Any survival suggestions? I'm assuming that means he's not going to be able to go. Or maybe he just means, how do I survive the next month and 2 weeks until the show? I don't know.
Oh, well, you cancel whatever is keeping you from going. No, I'm just kidding.
You hitchhike, damn it.
There's going to be a ton of content coming out, a ton. So, keep a lookout on YouTube and get your searches ready and start watching videos. The other thing that I've seen a lot of people do is they'll post like their want lists, for friends to look out for them, and makes you feel a little bit a part of the show if someone there messages you, a picture of a card in a case that you might be looking for. So prepare a want list for yourself, post it to your accounts, ask friends who are going, and then just be on top of the YouTube content.
Definitely. Good. And another one from In Cardboard Veritas. This is a slightly longer one. He says, I define core card collecting as collecting physical cards of the 5 main sports: basketball, baseball, football, hockey, soccer. I'm not interested in digital, NFT, F1, Justin Bieber, UFC, jerseys, autographed photos, ticket stubs, etc. I just want a small work of art with historical, sports, and collecting significance in my hand. Other people, of course, want different things. There's so much out there chasing our attention these days, much of which feels very fad-like to me.
Yeah.
Can you guys talk about how you think about defining our core hobby and whether any less core stuff still interests you?
Yeah, that's like the new Zag, isn't it? Is like kind of calling it the core, because the Zag before was to move outside the core, and now the Zag is to move back inside. I really like that thoughtful question. I just like that individual has really honed in on what they want to do, and they're not paying attention to the noise. And the concept of the fad it's a real thing, right? Like some of these other things have popped up just for the purpose of a pump and dump. Quite honestly, like some of those things pumped up just so someone could buy a bunch of something, get people excited about it, and then watch the middle finger crash, go down, and they dumped it. So, you and I have pointed out on this show a lot that we like some of these other things that have popped up because it's given people a new possible interest to get into. But I mean, the reality is, like, guys like you and I, we are very focused on the core things we collect. We've got just a couple players, a couple sports, and we're very focused, and that's intentional because it is hard to try to do everything. So what I pulled away from that comment was, like, figure out what your core is and just stick to that. Don't try to get too fancy with it and try to, jump on the next fad. Like I said, we like the fad things just for the purpose of, like, bringing attention to something new that might interest you long term.
Well said. I'd like to say something just kind of at the margins of this topic, which is, to the extent that the non-core cards actually have real collectors, whether it's Jay-Z cards, people are talking about Nas cards in the chat as well, whether it's, John Lennon cards or something, to the extent that those things actually have, like, real collectors who are willing to part with real dollars to have the pride of owning those cards as opposed to flipping them. To the extent that real collectors exist for that stuff, I think what it says to me is that people just love this freaking hobby so much, and they love the act of collecting, and they love cards so much that they want to pull in other things that are traditionally not collected in the form of cards, and they want to just import it into cards so that cards can be relevant to every domain of their life that they like. So the music that they like, they want it embodied in cards. The non-main sports that they like, they want it in cards. pop culture figures, they want it in cards. They want everything in cards.
Sure.
So like, and I think that there is a real impulse like that exists. But I think like for any card to go from like $10 to $1,000 in the span of a few months, which like happens with some of these fad cards, that is not genuine market growth. That probably is a flip type of market growth and a pump. But I think there is organic interest for it, and to the extent that it exists, it's because people just want cards to just dominate every domain of things that they care about, and I can't blame them for feeling that way.
It's so true, man. Like, I was looking up office cards. You know, it's like because you want something, you want like the reason that cards are so popular. When you were talking about this, is what I was thinking of. The reason that cards are so popular is they're very like the size of them. You know, like the shape, the collectability, like the tangibleness of like being able to store them and hold them and collect them is very neat and organized, and it's very like you can wrap your mind around it, you know. And there's symmetry to it, and there's predictability to the shape, and like you know what you're getting. So people just really they like that safety of it. I think like it's very comforting to know that it's simple in nature, and it's like, oh, you're gonna collect office, you're gonna collect toys or mugs or posters or autograph. No, it's like all these different sizes and shapes and all these things. Like, no, I just want a card. And I want it to go next to my other cards, and I want all my cards to line up, and I want to be able to tell the story of things that I like through one medium.
Yeah, and we have precedent for how markets work for cards because, like you said, they are predictable, they are standardized, they are serialized. We do have population reports, we do have grading and things like that. Like, whereas, if I just get an autograph of a celebrity on a hat or on a poster or it's not nearly as standardized. So, cards, it really is a great venue for the memorabilia urge in many of us, and the collecting urge in many of us. But yeah, great question in Cardboard Veritas, and it definitely brought out some interesting thoughts. Coming up on the hour here, but I think we're just gonna push through. Yeah, let's go. All right. Trey Acorn 50 has a pretty technical question here. Has Card Ladder considered being able to trend how multiples in a card's predictive value have changed? This would allow people to see how the disparity in base versus serial numbered has changed over time and get insight into where non-base may have some value. So I have two things to say to this, Trey. It's a great question. Number one, the compare feature. The compare feature is the easiest way to look at the market growth of two different cards simultaneously over time. And we have this neat feature called the logarithmic scale, which lets you track exactly what you're looking for. So let me just pull up an example here. The example I'm going to pull up is a 2003 Topps Chrome LeBron base and refractor PSA 10, because this is a great example of cards, of two cards maintaining a relationship over time. So look, here's what the graph looks like over time. If I set the graph to linear, this is very difficult to read, right? But it's accurate. The scale is very, very precise. But set it to log, the scale changes. But now what you're looking at is rate of growth. So and this bottom line is the base, and this top line is the refractor, and the gap between them represents the multiplier. And you can see it does change over time. Sometimes the gap is wider, sometimes it's smaller. Up here seems pretty wide, okay. But that's one way you can do it. You can hover over and you can see what prices are and stuff like that on this different stuff at a given time. So that's one way to do it, man. The other way to do it is just go to the card's profile. So here in this case, check out the LeBron refractor PSA 10, scroll down. This card has a multiplier on it, and then get to this blurb of text. And this blurb of text points out the 5 multipliers that we've identified between the refractor and the base, and the multipliers are spelled out. So 8.62, 6.05, 5.58, 5.64, and 5.16. So you have a range. It's been as wide as 8.62 and as small as 5.16x. And the dates of where these multipliers are taken from are supplied. Okay, so great question, Trey, and there's several ways to answer that question in card ladder. Okay.
Did you say linear?
Linear.
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 Your giant hand can't. I mean, your tiny hand.
Okay. The linear scale of my hand to the size of my screen. Would have to graph that with logarithmically. Okay.
I was thinking like maybe it is linear, and it's like some lawyer term that I'm just is over my head, or I'm an idiot or something.
Well, there are ways to settle this. So
Is this a tomato scenario here?
let's see.
Linear.
Thank
Linear.
you.
Linear.
Linear.
Linear alternative pronunciations. Okay. It's been settled. All right. Moving on. A good
Greg Linear. Greg Linear.
Okay. A Goods Only says, how much trust do you have in Panini going forward to protect the best interests of the hobby?
Oh, you guys are trying to get me in trouble again. Well, I think definitely more than last time, because I don't think they want to repeat that same mistake. I'm just gonna. I don't know. I don't work at Panini. I don't know any of the people there. You guys know them better than me, so I'll let you answer. But I would really hope that they learn from the last mistake of overproduction and stuff. All that to say, not a ton, because they're still in the business of making money, and it's not their responsibility to protect the secondary market long term. So keep that in mind. Buy things that if you don't want something to have value, then don't buy it, because that's what makes it go up.
Good. Yep. I have a bit more faith in Panini, but like Josh said, Panini just responds to market demand. And what is Panini going to do when they continue to print so much quantity that we're getting 20,000 plus PSA 10 base cards out of its main, mid-tier prestige products, and still they can't stay on the shelf? Panini's going to just keep on printing more product.
Yep.
We do have safeguards against it, though. Chief among them being serial numbered, legacy, rare, parallels. That is the safeguard that's built in. But even that safeguard can be bastardized. So God forbid the day when Prism has 50 different gold prisms and they're all numbered to 10. And there's like a slight variation to the hue or something, then we're going to be in big trouble.
You mean like gold shimmer?
Gold shimmer, gold
wave. Fucking gold wave, dude. Swear to God.
Gold vinyl. We are trending in that type of direction.
Fast break gold.
Fast break
Insert gold.
Yep.
South Park Cards pointed out Panini could be raising the price of their stuff a lot, and they're not. They're in a lot of cases they're keeping the boxes relatively cheap. It's just that like the resale and the flipping of them is gotten out of hand. So is that Panini saying like they're trying to keep it reasonable and priced fairly, and that's out of their control, or what do you think about that?
I have no idea. What do you think?
Well, I think they're reacting by raising the prices on retail stuff, right? Like they have to raise the price. If the demand is so high, like the business should raise their price. Grading companies are raising prices. There's nothing else you can do.
There isn't, but there's like these long-term contracts that have been in place between Panini as the manufacturer and the distributors and then the retailers. Yep. And like those contracts are tough, and there's a lot of business interests that have gotten aligned and entrenched over the years, and it can be pretty tough to shake things up, especially when everybody's doing well. And then the question is just who should be doing more well, or better. So
you're on a roll tonight.
Yeah, that's a tough situation.
Better, I think, is the word that you're better.
Lefko pointed out in the chat there was on Clubhouse for a period of time, there was a number of people who produced the word scarcity as Scar City. And for some reason, it really tickled my funny bone.
Oh, really? Did it make you laugh? Did you
Yes.
poke fun at those people?
I did.
Ah, well, karma's a bitch, isn't it? Now I can't mess up because I'm gonna get. You're gonna be ready to destroy me now if I mess up with one word.
I'm listening to every word
All right.
with precision.
Next topic, please.
Chuck H. Goodwin says, do you think PSA reopening will drastically affect the card market's current state?
Oh, I'm really not good at this, like, A causation, B thing, like causes C. That's so much to think about. People are going to grade a lot more, I know that much. People have been waiting to grade a lot of stuff because the price has been so high, and then a lot of people are just like, I'll just wait. I know a lot of people, my friends, that are like, I'll just wait. And then when they do open it back up at 20, and Nat pointed this out in his interview, was like, the thing we're really worried about is when we reopen, we get once again flooded and have to close, shortly after.
It's going to happen. I've got a backlog of hundreds of cards that's been piled up since they closed.
Maybe they should, this isn't advice for PSA or anything. Maybe they should slowly bring it back down. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to handle that. Maybe introduce one at a time.
Yeah, it's going to be a big issue, but PSA reopening, I think, will drastically affect the card market. I can't believe that Prism boxes, football and basketball, are still selling for like $1,300 to $1,500 right now, or $1,200 to $1,500, when like nothing in there except for the really nice hits is even worth grading. But it's still selling for these crazy prices. But I think maybe that's because a lot of people are just doing what you just said, and they're just piling up those LaMelo Prism base cards, and like when the doors open back up again, PSA is going to get hammered. But here's one thing. People, when they get their orders back from PSA and they've been waiting 8, 10, 12 months in some cases, when those orders finally do come back, like that's just like getting a bag of money delivered to your doorstep. People are going to take those cards, they're going to sell those cards, they're going to have money, and they're going to use that money to buy more cards. So getting that PSA, that PSA carousel rotating again is going to be big for people being able to have more cash to spend in this market. So it's going to be huge.
I love that thought.
Yeah, it is. I think it's going to have a huge effect. And I think PSA opening its doors again signals confidence to the market too. People can buy cards more confidently again, knowing that there is an option available to grade them. So knowing there are options available to grade cards, but knowing that the number one option is available again.
My biggest takeaway from that Nat interview was, that was a fantastic interview by Jeremy. I thought Jeremy asked really great questions, and it was extremely entertaining. And to just hear from someone, that high up at like, the number one company in the whole hobby, it's great that we have access to that. My takeaway was that, like, two small parts. So like the hobby right now has got this little bit of teetering moment of panic. Like a lot of people are worried about prices going down, they're losing money, and there's just sort of like this uneasy feeling. And Nat had like literally none of that, and so much so that Jeremy asked him about that, and he was like, "Oh, he basically like barely knew the market was going down." And I don't know if that's because he doesn't play in the world of base cards as much, so he's not aware of some of the prices going down, or it's that he has so much steady confidence in the hobby overall that this, to him, rightfully so, is just a blip. And that's what it's going to end up looking like 10 years from now, in my opinion. And I just thought that takeaway for me was fantastic, knowing that like these companies and people that invest, even yourself and I, like having a business in this hobby, we continue to be here, right? They're still grading a crap ton of cards. Panini's still making a ton of cards. We're still adding a ton of cards. Like, the people who are at the control of the wheel here, steady as she goes. It's okay, everyone.
Yeah, good. I like that. That's a good take on that. On Nat's indifference to the fluctuations in the market.
Like, are they going down? Oh, my cards went down. I didn't even know that. Wow. All right. Well,
Yeah, that was what a great interview. Definitely a must watch. Nat Turner on Sports Cards Live, YouTube. Trey Acorn 50 writes in to say, how good of an idea would it be for PSA or BGS to invest in a kiosk at shows that lets you scan cards to prove their authenticity, such as scanning a card matching the serial number? What about staffing a booth at major shows with an expert on hand who's trained to spot scams along with the kiosk? Is there any creative ways a grading company or entrepreneur could address concerns over counterfeits?
well, you got to think about at those shows, if you're going to be spending money to set up, you need a way to make money. You need to monetize, and so I'm not sure of a clear path to monetize something like that. Maybe I'm not creative enough. So if there's not like any monetary value in it, it's going to be hard for someone to justify that. It's a cool idea. You know, you can actually look up serial numbers on like the PSA and BGS apps as well. Just pointing that out that if you are nervous about a PSA slab, look up the serial on the PSA app at the show yourself. And, you know, it's like, do you need a booth to price checks? Price check? You just have your phone, you know. It's an interesting idea. To have like a professional on staff there would be interesting, like a PSA or BGS rep to look at it. That'd be cool. I'm not sure about like I'm not sure of a third party one, like I said, because I don't know how you can monetize that.
Good. Yeah, good answer. Good thoughts. Just putting it out there into the world. Thank you, Trey.
Thanks.
Bless 'em Breaks says, can you go over the difference between BGS 9.5 with a 10 auto versus PSA 10 with a 10 auto, as far as collector preference in which one holds more value? I've seen way more BGS slabs than PSA 1010s. Is that because PSA hasn't been grading autos for as long? Thank you.
No, just that it's mostly that like the PSA 1010 thing, like it's just not as apparent that you can grade autograph cards with PSA, and it's just not as common of a service. I'm not even sure really why. I don't even know if you could explain it either. I'm not sure why, but like just historically, if you have an autograph card and you send it to BGS, like they'll just basically autograph grade it regardless. Like you don't. It's not like you. But with PSA, it's just like historically been more of a, you know, vintage kind of grading company. So like they're not. It's not as common to get like the autograph stuff with them, or like the thicker cards with them. So it's just kind of like a more of an afterthought. But it is gaining popularity. I think the 1010 is definitely a higher value card. People would pay more for the PSA 1010. There's just more cards that exist in 9.510s, like I said, because it is more common to grade autograph cards with BGS.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is still true, but I remember a few years ago when I was submitting to a group submitter, and I asked him, I've got a card that I'd like to have receive an autograph grade. And he was like, okay, but that's going to make your submission take twice as long because it has to get the card has to get graded and the autograph has to get graded and authenticated separately. And I was like, oh, okay. So, no, then, especially if the market doesn't seem to make a big difference out of it, and plus there's the chance that the auto could get a 9 and it's perfectly acceptable to grade with PSA and not get the autograph graded, screw it. So I think like that historically has been part of it, is that grading the autograph with PSA has taken longer. With BGS, you don't have a choice. Mandatory. You have to get the autograph graded along with the card. So I think that matters. And PSA 1010s are super rare. And, you know, PSA historically, in my humble opinion, tightens up their grading standards over time. Like if you're somebody who gets, you know, a Trae Young NTRPA in within the first few months, that's probably the best shot you're ever going to have to get a PSA 10 on an RPA, and it's still not a good shot. PSA is really tough on those thick cards. So like a PSA 1010 of an NTRPA is usually a pretty rare thing to see out there in the hobby wild. So I think like the rarity of the 1010s is a big factor. As to
the thing that annoys me about
No, go ahead.
The thing that annoys me about the 1010 is that people are like, oh, it's a pop 1. And then I go look up the pop, and there's like 12 PSA 10s, and I'm like, well, the 1010 is a pop 1, but like of the PSA 10s, probably like, you know, if there was 12 PSA 10s, probably like 9 of them, 10 of them, 11 of them would have gotten a 1010, but they just didn't grade the auto. So it's a little bit misleading to be like, oh, it's a pop 1 1010. Yeah, because you were the only one that waited twice as long You're not lying. It's just like, be careful with that. So when someone says pop 1, 10, just be a little bit careful.
Makes our lives at Card Ladder miserable when there's like PSA 10 of an autograph card without an autograph grade versus with an autograph grade, and there are two different pops, and yeah, it sucks.
By the way, I wanted to point out a PSA 10 without an auto grade sells for significantly more money than a 9.5 with a 10 auto. Because people kind of just assume that most autos get a 10, which is kind of true, like most autos do, but there's a lot of autos that don't get a 10. So if I'm buying a PSA 10, it still has to have a really nice auto. And if it does, then I value it more than the 9.5 10.
Flippity Flip Cards wants to know which card will you, meaning me, Josh, and Christina each wear as a chain at the National.
Yes, sir. Dude, the PMG green penny.
No.
The PMG green penny would look damn good.
You might blind some people with that thing, man. That might be a health hazard.
It's like it's like a emerald fucking necklace kind of deal.
Did you like it when the Paul sibling wore it to the ring?
His name is Logan Paul, Chris.
Logan. I was afraid of confusing him with Jake.
It was pretty like dorky and tacky, if you're asking my honest opinion on it. But
so it was awesome.
But more exposure to the hobby. He likes that card. I don't think he's lying. I think he really does love that thing. I think he loves the hobby. I think you could tell he's got really addicted to it. Kind of like, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that I think he does love the card. So, props to him for doing it.
Oh, totally. For those who haven't seen it, I'm just trying to get a picture to pull up. I thought it was fun. I thought it was really fun that he did that. Here, this is close enough.
That's a pop 3.
That's ridiculous. That's an absolutely incredible card.
I like the picture of him holding it with the gloves on.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Dude, the thing that struck me with that whole thing was like all the different stuff that was going on around him at that day must have been absolutely chaotic with like, this big fight, all the money he's going to be making, all the people surrounding him, screaming at him, and he has the wherewithal to like, spend a lot of his focus and time on, wearing this trading card around his neck. I thought it was interesting because you really like a boxing match. You got to be super focused. To have this thing dangling on your neck, it's a little bit distracting.
The man loves his Pokemon. Christina offers up her Maxi Kleber Flawless Rookie 1 of 1 for her chain. Thank you, Christina.
Snorted that, Josh.
What'd you say?
She thinks that you're not impressed. And I would wear a Luca Prism base. I just think that's like the Timex. What would be the jewelry equivalent to that?
It's a card.
It's like the Tiffany's heart bracelet. Like everyone has it. And
yeah, because I don't want to stand out. I just want a nice, humble card dangling from my neck. Just nothing crazy. Just a Prism base dangling.
You just came up with a pretty solid product idea for Card Ladder. Wouldn't that be great if for the next feature? No, we didn't release a feature that you all need. What we did was we made a useless product that you wear a necklace around your neck.
If only there was a hobby precedent for content creators continuously making totally useless products and us watching them flop week after week. All right, what is up next here? Here's just a good old-fashioned question. There's no place like Homer says, please discuss the rise in demand with the international market and affordable ways to ship internationally.
Ship my cards. great service run by a friend of mine who actually, the warehouse is run out of Arizona, which is where I live. Great guy. Shipmycards.com.
There you go. That's a great way to do it too. Defer to people who do stuff like this all the damn time.
Specialization, my friend.
Yes.
That shit. If everyone specialized, this hobby would be humming like a damn Swiss Army knife. That's not a thing. That's a clock, like a damn German clock.
Humming like a Swiss Army knife. Good. I've got mine now. Okay.
Oh shit. Fuck.
So I think we actually need more marketplaces, personally, but some specialization might be good.
More marketplaces?
I do not think we need more marketplaces. Speaking of marketplaces, Jesse J. Pender says, is Card Ladder able to track MySlab sales? If not, is there something that their team could do to help with this? We do track MySlab sales, and we would love to collaborate with them to get even more data from them. They are a very credible data source. So shout out to MySlabs. Shout out to David. Okay.
They are working on something to make it a more smooth process to work with us, by the way.
Fantastic. Because right now they do have some really important comps, and the vetting level of the comps is extraordinary. So we rely on their data. When an important sale happens, we go and we grab it to the extent that, we have resources available to do it. But if we could increase that pipeline, that'd be terrific. So that's great.
We're really moving through these questions linearly.
Well, and let me.
Yeah, we're humming like a Swiss Army knife.
Okay, so let's see if we can keep this linear graph going. DJ Tony Tone 85 says, this is harkening back to something we talked about earlier. Parallels. How many is too many? If each card has 20 different serial numbered versions, is that a smokescreen for rarity? 90s generally had only one parallel, such as PMGs, a point that I've made on this show a few times. So
yeah, I think we're already about 5x over what I'm comfortable with in terms of parallels. I was looking at Trading Card DB, a website that has literally every card and every set and every parallel posted on their website, and I picked 2019 Prism, clicked on inserts and parallels, and I could not believe it. When you see it all on eBay, but to see it in a list,
yeah,
it's nauseating, dude. It's incredible. There's 6 inserts, and each insert has 7 parallels, and then there's 45 parallels for the base set. That's what the fuck? That's what if you collected I'm trying to think of a just random player. If you collected Andrew Wiggins and you're I want every gold parallel of Andrew Wiggins that comes out every year, dude, you're gonna have to buy 400 cards.
You have to
so many.
Yeah, that's what super collectors had to do back in the 90s. You become a super collector if you just have one parallel you're focusing on these days.
I think natural selection is playing out. The collectors know which ones matter and which ones have value, and the rest of it kind of just gets buried and mixed together and stuff. So it doesn't really phase me too much. Just don't buy it, I guess, is my response. But it is a little bit annoying.
Mike Pinkerton 50 wants to know, do you think Pokemon will come back?
Did it leave?
Go, good. Question the premise. Good.
I mean, yeah, the supply on the older Pokemon stuff is really, really high. There's a ton of it. There's just in every grade, it's almost like vintage, where there's just so much of it that you're basically just buying the grade to get your rarity and your scarcity. But I think Pokemon has a ton of staying power. I know, I came from that community, and I know a lot of those guys, and they're all extremely, extremely passionate about it. And so, I mean, all the things that I look for, for as foundational pieces to making a collectible successful, Pokemon has it. They don't have quite as many of the super rare cards that sports has, but they do have rare cards, and there is, it's hard to get a PSA 10 Charizard first edition. That's why the price is so high. So I think they're kind of going through the same thing that sports are right now. The high pop stuff's correcting and going down, and people want to put that money into rare stuff instead. So there was like a BGS 10 Lugia first edition, which is a pop 3, which is like one of the more popular characters, sold for $144,000. And you might be thinking like, that's not Charizard. How the heck is a card that's not Charizard selling for? Well, there's other stuff. That's my point. Like, there's other really nice cards that people want to collect that are rare that go for a lot of money. So they're kind of in the same boat that sports are right now.
That's a great answer. Brought something to my mind. Currently at auction with Golden, lot number one in this elite auction is the 2019 Topps Chrome Holland Auto Superfractor 1 of 1. Would you care to guess what the current bid is on this card?
Well, I saw it, so.
Okay. So then it's $290,000 pre-buyer's premium, $290,000 pre-buyer's premium. I wish they would just display what the buyer's premium is. So with buyer's premium, that card is at $357,000.
That's incredible.
Is he even like good at? I don't know soccer.
He is.
Somebody said he's like a JJ Redick, where he can score a lot.
No, he's probably more like I know it's not. No, that's no. He's more like he's not quite. I think Mbappe is more like Luka. Someone's gonna DM me and say you're an idiot, but like I think Luka's more like Mbappe, where it's just like the top end. But I think he's like next one up. Like I've heard that he's like not quite as popular as Mbappe, but a lot of people would probably say he's like a better player overall. Not as like he's good. It's not like someone said Booker. Okay, so that's pretty high end.
I mean, when a soccer card, and this is no disrespect to soccer collectors. Shout out to Jordan in the chat.
Soccer.
Good, Rip the Knicks. Very good. No disrespect to soccer cards, but I mean that card is on the trajectory here to break 500,000 easily. Who knows what the ceiling is on a card like that? Reconcile that with the notion that the card market is in a dire place right now. Just what the hell, man? When a soccer prospect is doing numbers like that, it just reminded me of your comment about a Pokemon character I'd never heard of.
You never heard of Lugia?
No. Is that from is that in the 99 base set first edition holos, like the first 16 cards? No? Okay, well that's why I've never heard of them.
Yep, it's a later release. It's a really popular card because it's harder to gem. The gem rate is low on that one, and it's just he's like a big Lugia Guardian of the Sea. There you go. Yeah, he's like a bigger sea character. Similar to like Charizard in the sky kind of thing. Very popular character.
Nice. All right.
What time is it? One more?
How many more?
One or two more?
One. Okay. Still have quite a few questions on our list. Here's a good one to end on. Because it dovetails with what we were just talking about. From Garrett's NBA. When a market goes up 10x, it can then plummet 80% and still be considered a wild success, having doubled from its original value in a short period of time. If you're a collector who's in it for the long run, watching the market dip, in scare quotes, to whatever level necessary to stabilize is a good thing for the long-term health of the hobby. Maybe I'm just regurgitating the same information, but still an important reminder.
Yeah, we've talked about this a lot, but I mean, I don't think it's good overall. This isn't something I think we should try and repeat over and over, where we 10x and then down 80% and like, oh no, we're fine, back on the same. This is nothing to see here. I don't think that's good because that that point at which you went way up and then back down. A lot of people got burned and we lost a lot long-term collector, so I wouldn't want to repeat that process. But now having it already happened and looking back on the past to put a positive spin on it, yes, that's what's happening.
Yep, agreed. All right, sorry we didn't get to some of the questions here, but thank you guys for great questions, great topics, great discussions tonight. Good show. Great NBA playoffs too. Even though some of the teams I was hoping would advance didn't, I still think there's compelling narratives going on right now, and hard to not watch every damn game.
Suns in 4.
The Nuggets did come back from 3-1. I'm not saying the Nuggets are going to win, but they are a resilient team. A sweep of them would be very impressive. Very.
So you're gonna be annoyed at all the Jokic isn't MVP talk?
No, I mean, if people don't think that what Jokic did during this regular season is meritorious, then what more could he do? What more could the man do? He is what he is. His style is what it is. He looks how he looks. His numbers are what they are.
I saw a stat today that the prior to today, the latest draft pick to ever win an MVP was Giannis at 15.
Right. Yes.
And he's 41. So it's like, wow.
Yeah, it's a great story. Great, yeah. Just tremendous, man. And here's the thing. Look at the talent in the league that's aged like 26 and younger. That from Giannis to Jokic, Booker, Mitchell, Tatum, Trey, Zion, Morant, Luka, and then so many other guys who are just like a tier underneath. Ayton and even Mikal Bridges, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Dude, there's just a lot of talent. I didn't even say LaMelo. I didn't say any of this year's class. Anthony Edwards, Karl-Anthony Towns, like a lot of talent.
And all those guys are
Bobo.
Those guys are like waiting for the LeBrons and the Durants to get out of their way so they can take over and be the face of the league. And when LeBron retires and Durant gets old and Curry, those guys are there's like 12 of those guys you just named fighting over the face of the league. It's gonna be it's gonna be awesome to watch how it plays out.
Yeah, man, it is a talent superstar heavy league. Superstar.
How old is Embiid? Embiid and Simmons, how old are those guys?
Oh, Simmons certainly falls into the 26 and under, and Embiid is right there. Embiid was drafted in 13, I think, or maybe 14. 13 or 14. 14. Embiid was drafted in 14, Giannis was drafted in 13. So you got to put Embiid in there too, I guess.
And even Kawhi's only 29, I think. Davis is 27.
Yep.
The amount of talent under 30 even is incredibly deep.
Embiid is 27. So,
I mean, that's crazy, man. So many guys that are like right smack in the middle of their prime, or not even in their prime yet. They're younger than their prime.
Yes. Yep. Great time to be a fan of basketball. Okay, that's going to do it for tonight's show. Thank you guys for tuning in. See you all next week.